This one, that is so delicious. Guten Gardening, everybody. You know, we've done some content on radishes in the past. We've harvested quite a few. We actually enjoy growing radishes quite a bit. And we've talked about some of the reasons behind that. You know, the fact that they grow so quickly. They're a seed that we can get planted before the last frost. And so it's one of our early crops. But this season, we grew our first ever red rat tail radish. And I gotta tell you, I think we found a brand new favorite radish. And I'm gonna explain why in today's video. Now, first and foremost, let's talk about one of the challenges with radishes, because in general, they tend to be one of the easier vegetables to grow. I mentioned already that they grow really quickly, but one of the challenges is if you get it the wrong weather patterns, meaning that it gets too hot too quickly, you have extended periods of that heat, a lot of times what can happen is something that's happened right over here. Now, I'm not going to pull this radish up right now, but I'm going to show you. This is one of our radishes that we were growing for the root, for that bulb at the bottom. And you can see one of the challenges right here, and that is that this radish has gone to seed. And this is actually pretty common, especially if you're trying to grow radishes in the heat of the year, even though this wasn't grown at that time. When the radishes hit some of that warmer temperatures, kind of like what happens with spinach, they go to seed pretty quickly. Now, we've talked about this before, the flowers, the seed pods, they're edible, but more than likely, you know, with a variety that we want to grow for that actual radish bulb at the bottom, we're either going to save these seeds to plant again next season, or it's a bit of a disappointment because that's not the purpose of those radishes. Now, compare that to the red rat tail radish, and this is one of the coolest things about this variety, and one of the reasons why I said we like it so much. This is a variety that actually thrives in those warmer temperatures because the sole purpose of our red rat tail radish is to go to seed to give us these awesome seed pods. And I've read that these seed pods can grow anywhere from 3 inches to all the way up to 10 inches or so. Take a look at this. This is one of the seed pods. You know what I want to do? I want to show you a comparison. So this is the seed pod of a radish that isn't grown for going to seed. And this is just one of our red rat tail. And I'll mention some of the uses of this red rat tail seed pod. First of all, if you look at some of the smaller ones, some of the younger ones, look at that beautiful purple. It's like a reddish purple color. So this is often used as a garnish to plates. But like a lot of garnishes, I mean, kale has been used as a garnish for many years, right? But like many of those garnishes, they go far beyond just the looks of the seed pod. Yeah, they absolutely are fantastic as a garnish. But if you like the radish taste, then you're going to love the flavor of these seed pods. Now, here are a couple of things that I know. One, they are supposed to be fantastic in stir fries. You can imagine that savory, peppery flavor. So you can think of adding a little spice to a dish, and that's what these are going to bring. Now, of course, I'm going to go ahead and eat one of these. I got some of the flour. If I look really closely there, can you see it? I got a little bit of the flour on there. It doesn't matter. It's all edible. It's crunchy. So it's got a great texture. So that's why it's really good raw. It's a little bit milder than a lot of our radishes. And there's a little bit of that pepperiness, a little bit of that spice to it, but milder. Oh man. So you eat it raw, you eat it as a garnish. You go ahead, throw it in some salad. You stir fry it. What do I know about radishes? And this is something interesting. Yes, we can eat the leaves of radishes, but by and large, when you think of growing most radishes, you've got the radish bulb, and it's a one-off. So when we're talking about the amount of vegetable, the amount of production that you get from one typical radish, you've got the radish bulb. Well, let's take a look and see how loaded down some of these red rat tail radishes are with the seed pods already. You can see I mean, every spot here where you see the darker color, and these are just coming in, and you see they're getting taller and taller. Everywhere where you see this color, these are the edible seed pods. I'm just making my way through here, and you can see on this plant in particular, this plant has a lot of the bigger ones on it. Now, they say that these grow 2 to 3 feet tall. I'd say mine are about 3.5 feet tall already right now. And then the production period, I've read, again, this is just our first year growing these, but the production period is about 6 weeks as these seed pods continue to mature. So let's think about this in terms of small space gardening. They're going to take up more space than the average radish. But a singular plant, and we've got ours trellised against a nice little bit of wire trellising here in our long raised bed. A single plant is going to produce a whole bunch of these seed pods, so you're getting way more production for a singular radish plant than you would if you were growing one just for the bulb itself. Just like anything else that produces, that goes to seed like this, if we leave these on for an extended period of time, then these will dry out, and we'll be able to collect these seeds to plant next season. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to be able to harvest a whole bunch of these. There's no doubt about that. Man, I can't even believe they look so much like stems, but I can't believe how tender they are. They're not even fibrous. They're not woody at all. Oh, look at that. You know what? I got to keep getting down in here. It's been a couple of months since we planted these, but remember, we started these in April here in zone 5, early April. So there was a period of time where the temperature outside was still pretty cool, and that's why it's taken even this long, because they're still pretty quick growers. Reflecting on this, there are a couple of things that I really just can't get over. For one, just how many and how big these seed pods are. It's absolutely fantastic, but also the fact that they don't have a fibrous texture to them. And a lot of seed pods do that. They get a little bit of a tougher, well, you're getting your fiber in, that's for sure. They get a little bit tougher. One thing that makes me think of is right here with our Brussels sprouts seed pods. See, these are our Brussels sprouts that went to seed. See, these Brussels sprouts seed pods are edible as well. Actually, I think if you eat these, you'll probably enjoy the flavor inside, like the seed itself, a lot more in terms of the overall taste than the texture of the seed pods outside. It's a lot coarser, a lot tougher, and it doesn't really matter. I mean, the younger ones, yeah, they tend to be a little less tough, but compare it to this monster, this has got to be a good 7 inches long or so. It's not tough at all, and the flavor again is exceptional. Well, one of the things that is important to note here is if you're not somebody who likes a really strong radish taste, I think you'll be okay with the red rat tails, because they are definitely not as powerful. Some of those radishes are so strong, they're not even my cup of tea either. But this one, that is so delicious. Now, this is a pretty tangled mess that this has created in here. Lots of rain, lots of wind. You can see some of the tops of this. This is not the same red rat tail, but you can see it's kind of pulling over off to the side. I did come in and situate these a little bit, but I need to do more to hold them up against the trellising here, and I'm going to do that. But see all these flowers? There's still more seed pods coming, and they produce such a beautiful flower, a beautiful tasty flower, I might add. Hey, if you're looking for a good variety of radish to grow, I'll speak for Zone 5 Wisconsin when I say this variety, this red rat tail radish, is absolutely, it's my new favorite anyway. We'll see what the rest of the family says, but it's absolutely up there with a variety we suggest you try to get a hold of. Thank you again to Sabby, our community member who hooked us up with these. I know I would have never in a million years known about these or ever grown them if she hadn't, so thank you again. And folks, we hope you enjoyed today's video, got a little gardening inspiration, and if you did enjoy today's video, don't forget to give us a like, leave us a comment, remember to share and subscribe, and most important, remember, here with us, you are good to grow.